You know your marriage is over when your wife texts you like a hotel receptionist. Professional, polite, completely fucking fake. Staying at Jennifer's tonight, don't worry. Girls' night got crazy, lol. Love you. I stared at my phone screen in the dim glow of my home office, surrounded by empty coffee cups and the blue light of 3 monitors displaying code that suddenly seemed meaningless. Nate Callahan, 42 years old, software engineer, certified idiot who still believed his wife when she said she loved him. The thing is, I'd been suspicious for weeks. Angela had been different, distant, always checking her phone, hiding the screen when I walked by. New lingerie receipts from Victoria's Secret, stuff I'd never seen her wear. Late nights at work events that never seemed to involve anyone I knew. And the girls' nights. Jesus, the girls' nights had multiplied like rabbits in spring. I leaned back in my chair, listening to the house creak around me. Our suburban paradise in Clearwater, Florida, with its perfect lawn and perfect neighbors and perfectly rotten foundation. The coastal humidity made everything stick to everything else, including lies to the people who told them. My phone buzzed. A text from Todd, my gym buddy, and the only person in my life who still called bullshit when he saw it. Beer? You look like you need it. I did need it. But first, I needed to scratch an itch that had been bothering me for days. I scrolled through my contacts and found Jennifer's number. Angela's supposed best friend since college, the woman who'd been her alibi for the last month of girls' nights. If anyone would know where my wife really was, it would be Jennifer. The phone rang 4 times before she picked up. Nate? Is everything okay? It's pretty late. Hey, Jen. Sorry to bother you. Angela left her charger here and asked me to drop it off. What's your apartment number again? Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Silence. Long, uncomfortable silence that told me everything I needed to know. Nate, Angela's not here. I haven't seen her since last Tuesday at lunch. My stomach dropped through the floor. Oh, must have gotten my wires crossed. She said she was staying over after girls' night. We didn't have girls' night tonight. We canceled because Lisa had to work late. I thanked Jennifer and hung up, my hands shaking slightly. Not from fear. From rage. Pure, crystalline rage that started in my chest and spread through my entire body like poison. Apparently, my wife thought I was as dumb as her ex-boyfriend's taste in shirts. Derek Fox, real estate hotshot with a new Tesla and a smile that belonged on a used car lot. Angela's ex from before we met, the one she'd stayed friends with because they had history. The one who'd been liking every single one of her Facebook posts for the past 6 months. I grabbed my keys and drove across town to Derek's new condo complex, the kind of place that screamed I make commission with its fake Mediterranean architecture and valet parking. The kind of place Derek would live to prove he'd made it. His unit was on the 3rd floor, corner apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows that might as well have been a movie screen. And there they were, my wife and her friend, cozy on his leather couch with wine glasses and body language that told a story I didn't want to read. Angela was wearing the red dress I'd bought her for our anniversary, the one she'd said was too fancy for anywhere we'd go. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, watching them laugh and touch and exist in a world where I didn't matter, where 15 years of marriage was just an inconvenience to work around. Then I drove home, poured myself 3 fingers of bourbon, and started planning. If Angela wanted war, I'd give her a campaign she'd never forget. The gym at 6 a.m. was my church, and Todd Martinez was my confessor. Ex-military, built like a brick shithouse, and blessed with the kind of brutal honesty that cuts through bullshit like a hot knife through butter. So let me get this straight, Todd said, spotting me on the bench press. Your wife is screwing her ex, lying about it, and you're what? Planning to cry into your protein shake? I'm planning to destroy them both. I pushed the weight up, feeling my muscles strain. Legally, methodically, completely. Todd grinned. Now you're talking my language. Time for some old-school recon, Callahan. Over the next week, I became a ghost in my own life. I followed Angela to work, to lunch, to her secret meetings with Derek. I learned their patterns, their favorite restaurants, their preferred hotels. The Marriott on Gulf Boulevard, always room 237, always between 2 and 4 p.m. on weekdays. I started carrying a camera, not for divorce court. I already had enough evidence for that. For something much more satisfying. The dirty details came in fragments, overheard conversations, and stolen glances that painted a picture of betrayal so complete it was almost artistic. Angela's friend Lisa, gossiping in a coffee shop about Derek's skills and Angela's upgrade. Derek's buddy Greg talking about how Nate never deserved her anyway. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. I say, why not flambe it? My first move was subtle. Derek had an open house scheduled for Sunday afternoon, $1 million waterfront property that would make or break his month. I arrived early, switched the address signs with a house 3 blocks away that was condemned and scheduled for demolition. Then I let a particularly aggressive stray dog into the backyard and left anonymous flyers on all the cars in the neighborhood advertising Derek's special services with a phone number that connected to a phone sex line. By the time Derek figured out what was happening, half his clients were at the wrong house. The other half were calling him about his escort business, and the homeowners were threatening to sue him for the property damage caused by one very territorial German Shepherd mix. Angela came home that night complaining about Derek's bad luck and how someone must have it out for him. Weird how these things happen, I said, not looking up from my laptop. Maybe he should be more careful about who he pisses off. She gave me a strange look, but didn't say anything. The paranoia was starting to set in. My second move was more direct. Derek liked to eat lunch at the same waterfront cafe every Tuesday, always sitting at the same table, always ordering the same overpriced salmon salad. I waited until he was halfway through his meal, then walked up to his table with a smile. Derek? What a coincidence. He nearly choked on his food. Nate, hi. What are you doing here? Meeting a client. Software consulting. You know how it is. I pulled out the chair across from him and sat down uninvited. Mind if I join you? I've been meaning to talk. Derek's face went pale. About what? Oh, you know. Old times, mutual friends, Angela. The color drained completely from his cheeks. Look, Nate, I don't know what you think. I don't think anything, Derek. I know everything. I leaned forward, keeping my voice conversational. Room 237 at the Marriott, Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. The red dress I bought her for our anniversary. Should I go on? Derek started to stand up, but I grabbed his wrist. Not hard enough to hurt, just hard enough to keep him in place. Sit down. We're having a conversation. He sat. Here's what's going to happen, I continued, still smiling. You're going to stop seeing my wife. You're going to stop calling her, texting her, liking her Facebook posts, and breathing the same air as her. Because if you don't, I'm going to make your life so miserable you'll wish you'd never learned to spell real estate. Derek tried to look tough. You can't threaten me. I'm not threatening you. I'm promising you. I stood up and dropped a 20 on the table. Lunch is on me. Enjoy the rest of your day. I walked away feeling better than I had in months, but Derek, apparently, was dumber than he looked. That evening he showed up at my house. I was in the garage, working on my motorcycle, when I heard the Tesla pull into my driveway. Angela wasn't home yet. She was at her book club, which I now knew was code for pre-adultery dinner with Derek. Derek got out of his car like he owned the place, all swagger and expensive cologne. He was wearing a polo shirt that probably cost more than my mortgage payment and a Rolex that screamed insecurity. We need to talk, he announced. No, we really don't. I didn't look up from my bike. But if you want to make this interesting, by all means, keep talking. You need to back off. What Angela and I have is real. What you two have is just history. I set down my wrench and stood up slowly. Derek was taller than me, broader, probably stronger. He was also soft from years of desk work and 3 martini lunches. History, I repeated. 15 years of marriage is history. 15 years of settling, Derek said. She deserves better. Better than me? Better than some code monkey who can't even keep his wife happy. That's when I smiled, really smiled, for the first time in weeks. You know what, Derek? You're absolutely right. She does deserve better. She deserves someone who won't humiliate her in front of the entire town. Someone who won't destroy her reputation, her friendships, and her self-respect. Someone who won't turn her into a cautionary tale that people tell their daughters. Derek's confidence wavered. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that you just threatened a man who has nothing left to lose. I'm talking about the fact that I know where you live, where you work, who your clients are, and exactly how to ruin your life without breaking a single law. I stepped closer. I'm talking about the fact that you're fucking with the wrong husband. Derek took a swing at me. Clumsy, telegraphed, the kind of punch thrown by someone who'd never been in a real fight. I ducked easily and came up with an open-handed slap that caught him across the cheek with a sound like a gunshot. He stumbled backward, more from shock than impact, and fell on his ass in my driveway. Several neighbors had come out to watch the show, including Mrs. Henderson from next door, who was recording everything on her phone. Stay down, I advised him, and stay away from my wife. This is your only warning. Derek scrambled to his feet and ran to his car, leaving rubber on my driveway as he peeled out. The neighbors applauded, but I knew this was just the beginning. Derek's ego wouldn't let him walk away, and Angela would never forgive the public humiliation. They'd regroup, plan their next move, try to turn the tables. Good. I was counting on it. That night, Angela came home to find all 4 of her tires slashed and a note tucked under her windshield wiper. Hope you're as good at fixing things as you are at breaking them. She never suspected her loving husband. After all, I'd been home all evening, working in the garage. Mrs. Henderson could vouch for that. The war was officially on. The beautiful thing about psychological warfare is that it doesn't require violence, just creativity. And after 20 years in software development, creativity was one thing I had in abundance. My first target was Derek's professional reputation. Real estate is all about image, trust, and word of mouth. Destroy those, and you destroy the man. I started small. Anonymous Google reviews mentioning Derek's unprofessional conduct and questionable ethics. Fake Craigslist ads offering Derek's special personal services to lonely housewives with his real phone number. Flyers posted around town advertising Derek Fox's discreet adult entertainment with a photo I'd pulled from his LinkedIn profile. Within a week, Derek was fielding calls from confused clients, angry spouses, and at least 3 actual prostitutes who thought he was horning in on their territory. But Angela was a harder target. She worked in HR at a medical supply company, and her reputation there was solid. I needed something more subtle, more devastating. That's when I remembered her boss, Richard Clemens. 50-something, recently divorced, and known around the office for his wandering hands and inappropriate comments. Angela had complained about him for years, but she needed the job. I sent Richard an anonymous email with photos of Angela and Derek at various restaurants and hotels, along with a note suggesting that Angela might be more available than she appears, and looking for career advancement opportunities. The results were immediate and disgusting. Richard started hitting on Angela aggressively, making crude comments about her extracurricular activities and suggesting they discuss her future with the company over dinner. Angela came home furious and confused, ranting about Richard's sudden behavior change. I played the supportive husband perfectly, suggesting she should report him to corporate, all while knowing she'd never risk her career over something she couldn't prove. Meanwhile, Derek was spiraling. His business was suffering, his reputation was in tatters, and his relationship with Angela was strained by the constant stress. They'd started meeting at different hotels, changing their patterns, looking over their shoulders constantly. Good. Paranoia was exactly what I wanted. The HOA meeting was scheduled for Thursday night, and I made sure to attend. Angela tried to talk me out of it. She was planning to be there with Derek, spinning some story about neighborhood security concerns. But I insisted. Civic duty, I told her. Community involvement. The meeting was held in the clubhouse of our subdivision, a sterile room with fluorescent lighting and the kind of cheap paneling that screamed, built by the lowest bidder. About 30 people showed up, mostly retirees and busybodies with nothing better to do than complain about lawn maintenance and parking violations. Angela arrived with Derek, both of them trying to look casual and failing miserably. They sat on the opposite side of the room from me, whispering and shooting nervous glances in my direction. The meeting started with the usual boring business: budget reports, landscaping updates, pool maintenance schedules. Then came new business, and Derek stood up. "I'd like to address some security concerns," he began, his voice shaky. "There have been incidents of vandalism and harassment in our community, and I think we need to take action." He was trying to turn the narrative, make himself the victim and me the aggressor. Smart move, but he'd underestimated how much homework I'd done. I stood up slowly. "That's interesting, Derek. What kind of harassment are we talking about?" "Property damage, threatening behavior, stalking." "Stalking?" I raised my eyebrows. "That's a serious accusation. Have you filed a police report?" Derek's face flushed. "Not yet, but because if someone was really stalking you, you'd want to get law enforcement involved immediately. Unless, of course, you had reasons to avoid police attention." The room was getting interested now. Nothing like the promise of neighborhood drama to wake up a crowd of bored suburbanites. "What are you implying?" Derek demanded. "I'm not implying anything. I'm stating facts." I pulled out my phone and started reading from my notes. "Fact. You've been having an affair with my wife for the past 3 months. Fact. You've been using our community pool house for your meetings when you thought no one would notice. Fact. Mrs. Patterson saw you and Angela in the hot tub last Tuesday at 2 in the afternoon. The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, a few shocked laughs. Angela turned white as a sheet, but I wasn't done. Fact. You're also sleeping with Karen Williams from Maple Street. Her husband Tom is deployed overseas, which makes you not just an adulterer, but a predator who targets military wives. That last part was a lie. But Derek's reaction told me I'd hit close to home. He started sputtering denials, but the damage was done. The crowd had turned against him, and Angela was looking at him with new suspicion. "You're lying," Derek shouted. "Am I? Karen, would you like to comment?" Karen Williams was sitting in the back row, and she looked like she wanted to disappear into her chair. She didn't deny it. The meeting devolved into chaos. Accusations flew, neighbors chose sides, and the HOA president gavelled frantically for order. Derek stormed out, followed by several angry husbands. Angela stayed behind, trying to salvage her reputation, but it was too late. I always said Derek was a real estate flipper. Now he was just flipping out. Angela cornered me in the parking lot afterward, tears streaming down her face. "How could you do that to me? In front of everyone?" "Do what? Tell the truth?" "Humiliate me, destroy my reputation. These people are our neighbors, Nate. I have to live here." "So do I. And I have to live with the knowledge that my wife is fucking her ex-boyfriend in our community pool house." She tried to slap me, but I caught her wrist. "We're way past sorry, Angela. Way past." I got in my car and drove home, leaving her standing in the parking lot with the wreckage of her social life scattered around her like broken glass. But I knew this wasn't over. Angela was desperate now, and desperate people do stupid things. She'd team up with Derek for one last play, one final attempt to turn the tables and make me the villain. I was counting on it. Derek's response was predictably pathetic. Instead of slinking away with what was left of his dignity, he doubled down. He and Angela decided to throw a party, a housewarming at his condo, to celebrate his new life and show the community that they weren't ashamed of their relationship. The invitation was a masterpiece of passive-aggressive bullshit sent to half the neighborhood, including several people who'd witnessed Derek's meltdown at the HOA meeting. Join Derek and Angela for an evening of good friends, great food, and new beginnings. They were trying to control the narrative, present themselves as a legitimate couple who'd found love despite difficult circumstances. It was actually smart, in a desperate, pathetic way. Too bad I was 3 steps ahead of them. Todd helped me plan the counterattack. Military precision, he called it, though I think he was just excited to see some action after years of suburban boredom. "You sure about this?" he asked as we sat in his truck across from Derek's condo complex. "Once you pull this trigger, there's no going back." "I crossed that line the first time I saw them together," I said. "Now I'm just finishing what they started." The party was in full swing by 8 p.m. I could see people on Derek's balcony, hear the music and laughter drifting across the parking lot. Angela was playing hostess, wearing a cocktail dress I'd never seen before and a smile that looked painted on. I waited until 9:30, when everyone was good and drunk, then made my move. Step 1 was the projection. I'd borrowed a high-powered projector from work and set it up on the roof of the building across the street. With Todd's help, I aimed it at the blank wall of Derek's building and started the slideshow. Text messages between Angela and Derek, blown up to billboard size for everyone to see. "Can't wait to feel you inside me again. Your husband is so clueless, it's almost sad. Maybe we should tell him. Put him out of his misery. Not yet. I'm not ready to give up the financial security." The party stopped dead. People on the balcony were pointing and staring, pulling out their phones to record. I could see Angela through the window, frantically trying to close the curtains, while Derek ran around like a headless chicken. But I wasn't done. Step 2 was Derek's Tesla. Beautiful car, probably his pride and joy, parked in his reserved spot like a monument to his success. I'd spent the afternoon preparing a special surprise, 50 pounds of rotting fish from the docks, mixed with house paint and glitter, all packed into biodegradable bags that would dissolve in about an hour. By the time Derek discovered his car, the smell was apocalyptic. The paint had hardened into a rainbow shell that would require professional removal, and the glitter, well, glitter is forever. Step 3 was the social media blitz. I'd created fake accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all posting the same content simultaneously. Screenshots of Angela and Derek's affair, photos of them at hotels, a timeline of their betrayal complete with receipts and documentation. Within minutes, the posts were being shared across our community. Angela's carefully crafted reputation crumbled in real time, as friends and co-workers saw exactly what kind of person she really was. The party guests started leaving in droves. Some looked disgusted, others embarrassed to be associated with the spectacle. A few stopped to take selfies with the projection, turning Angela and Derek's humiliation into social media content. I was watching from the parking garage when Derek finally spotted me. He came charging across the lot like an angry bull, his face purple with rage. "You son of a bitch! You think you can destroy my life?" "I don't think it," I said calmly. "I know it, because I already did." Derek grabbed me by the shirt and slammed me against a concrete pillar. He was stronger than I'd expected, fueled by desperation and alcohol. "You're going to fix this," he snarled. "You're going to take down those posts and tell everyone you made it all up. Or what? Or I'll beat you to death right here." I smiled. "Go ahead. There are security cameras everywhere, and half your party guests are still in the parking lot. You want to add assault charges to your list of problems?" Derek's grip loosened slightly. He was drunk and angry, but he wasn't completely stupid. Besides, I continued, you really want to threaten me? After everything I've already done to you? You think I don't have more ammunition? I pulled out my phone and showed him a photo I'd taken earlier that day. Derek, coming out of a massage parlor downtown, the kind of place that definitely wasn't licensed for therapeutic massage. Smile, Derek. You're about to be famous. He let go of me and stumbled backward, his face going from purple to white in seconds. That's not... I was just getting a happy ending while you were dating my wife. Yeah, I figured. Angela's going to love this one. Derek turned and ran back toward his building, leaving me alone in the parking garage with the sound of sirens in the distance. Someone had called the police about the disturbance. Perfect. Let them sort through the wreckage. I walked back to my car and drove home, feeling lighter than I had in months. Angela's car wasn't in the driveway, which meant she was probably still at Derek's, trying to salvage something from the disaster. But there was nothing left to salvage. Their relationship was toxic waste now, contaminated by public humiliation and mutual betrayal. Even if they stayed together, they'd never trust each other again. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This isn't over. I typed back, yes, it is. You just don't know it yet. Then I poured myself a drink and waited for Angela to come home. We had one last conversation to finish. Angela came home at 3 a.m, drunk and furious, and looking like she'd been crying for hours. She slammed the front door hard enough to rattle the windows and stumbled into the living room where I was waiting with a glass of bourbon and a smile. You bastard, she slurred. You absolute bastard. Good evening to you too, sweetheart. How was the party? She lunged at me, swinging wildly, but she was too drunk to connect. I caught her wrists easily and guided her into a chair. Sit down before you hurt yourself. You ruined everything. My job, my friends, my reputation, everything. I didn't ruin anything. I just showed people who you really are. Angela started crying again, the ugly, messy kind of crying that comes from complete emotional collapse. 15 years, Nate. 15 years of marriage, and you threw it all away for revenge. I threw it away? I laughed, and it came out harsher than I intended. You're the one who decided Derek's dick was more important than our wedding vows. It wasn't about sex. It was about feeling alive again, feeling wanted. Spare me the justification speech. You cheated. You lied. You made me look like a fool in front of everyone we know. Did you really think there wouldn't be consequences? Angela wiped her nose with the back of her hand, smearing makeup across her cheek. I loved you, she whispered. No, you loved what I provided. The house, the stability, the financial security. You said so yourself in those text messages. She flinched like I'd slapped her. Derek's done with you, by the way, I continued. Saw him at the gas station this afternoon. He's moving back to Tampa, starting fresh. Apparently you're too much baggage for his new life. That broke her completely. She doubled over, sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Here's what's going to happen, I said, setting my glass down. You're going to pack your things and leave. Tonight. You can stay at your sister's, or a hotel, or Derek's place if he'll have you. But you're not staying here. This is my house too. Not anymore. Check your email. Divorce papers were filed this morning. I'm citing adultery, and thanks to your public meltdown, I have more evidence than any judge could possibly need. Angela stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. You planned all of this. From the beginning, you planned to destroy me. No, Angela. From the beginning, I planned to love you. You're the one who chose destruction. She stood up unsteadily, swaying on her feet. I'll fight you. I'll take half of everything, and I'll make sure everyone knows what a vindictive psychopath you really are. Good luck with that. Hard to claim victim status when there's video of you breaking into your ex-husband's house. Angela froze. What video? I pointed to the security camera I'd installed above the front door. its red recording light blinking steadily. The one I'm making right now. Keep talking, sweetheart. Every threat you make just strengthens my case. She looked around the room like a trapped animal, searching for an escape route that didn't exist. Then her expression changed, hardening into something cold and calculating. You think you've won, she said. But you haven't. You've just shown everyone what you really are, a petty, cruel man who destroys people for sport. You'll end up alone, Nate. Bitter and alone, because nobody will ever trust you again. Maybe. But I'll be alone with my self-respect intact. Can you say the same? Angela grabbed her purse and headed for the door, then turned back one last time. I hope it was worth it. It was. She left, and I heard her car start up and drive away into the night. I poured myself another drink and sat back in my chair, listening to the silence. It was over. Finally. Completely over. My phone rang. Derek's number. What do you want? I answered. You win, okay? You fucking win. I'm leaving town, Angela and I are done, and you can have your precious revenge. Are you happy now? Ecstatic. You know what the funny thing is? She really did love you. Even after everything, even when she was with me, she still talked about you like you were some kind of hero. She thought you were better than this. She was wrong. Yeah, she was. You're exactly as petty and vindictive as everyone said you were. Congratulations, Nate. You've become the villain in your own story. Derek hung up, and I set the phone aside. He was right, of course. I had become the villain. The question was whether I cared. I didn't. The next morning, I woke up alone in my house for the first time in 15 years. The silence was profound, broken only by the sound of birds outside and the distant hum of traffic. I made coffee, read the news, and checked my email like it was any other day. There was a message from my lawyer confirming that the divorce papers had been served. Another from my bank showing that Angela had cleaned out our joint savings account. Not unexpected, and not enough to matter. A third from Todd asking if I wanted to hit the gym. I was halfway through my second cup of coffee when the doorbell rang. It was Mrs. Henderson from next door, holding a casserole dish and wearing the expression of someone who'd rehearsed this conversation. Good morning, Nate. I brought you some lasagna. Thought you might need a home-cooked meal. That's very kind of you, Mrs. Henderson. I just wanted you to know that some of us understand why you did what you did. Marriage is sacred, and what Angela did was unforgivable. I accepted the lasagna and thanked her, but her words felt hollow. Understanding and approval weren't the same thing, and I could see the wariness in her eyes. I'd won the war, but I'd lost something else in the process, the ability to be seen as anything other than the man who'd destroyed his wife's life for revenge. Derek was right. I'd become the villain in my own story. But villains, I realized, don't always lose. Sometimes they just win differently than heroes do. I closed the door and went back to my coffee, alone in my perfect house with my perfect revenge and my perfectly empty life. It was exactly what I'd wanted. It was exactly what I deserved. The end. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Write in the comments from which city you are watching.